Hey everybody, and welcome to another video on memorizing the complicated Latin endings. This is from Visual Latin 1, Lesson 22, and in this video we're looking at the demonstrative pronouns. These are the demonstrative pronouns that refer to something at some distance from you. So, a good rule of thumb is to use the word that if it's singular, and those if it's plural. Let's go through and look at the endings and the demonstrative pronouns themselves first in all of their genders, and then we'll come back and add some nouns. So here we're looking at the masculine demonstrative pronouns, meaning that or those. Notice that in the nominative singular ends with an E, so ille. In the genitive, ilius. Now it's going to be that way all the way through. Let me show you real quick. Here's the feminine ones, ilius. And here are the neuter demonstrative pronouns, ilius. Notice it's the same all the way through. Let's go back to the masculine. In the dative we have ili, again, same all the way through, ili, ili. Okay? I'm going to get rid of that because I want that out of the way when we come back. In the accusative, we have ilum. It is not the same all the way through. In the feminine we have ilam, right here. And in the neuter we have ilud, right there. Alright, back to the masculine ones. In the ablative we have illo. It's the same in the neuter, but it is different in the feminine. In the feminine it's illa. I'm going to get rid of that. And actually while we're here we're going to get rid of this one too. And in the neuter it's back to illo. So we have illo, illa, illo. Erase that one as well because we're going to need that space cleared when we come back through adding nouns. Get rid of all these arrows on this side. Okay, let's go over to the plural side. On the plural side we have ili, which means those. In the feminine, ile, which means those. Maybe we're talking about those girls over there. Ile, puelle. And in the neuter, ila. So if we're talking about those towns, ila, opida, for example. Alright. In the genitive, it's illorum, in the genitive plural. So of those boys, illorum puerorum. Of those girls, ilarum puellarum. Of those towns, illorum opidorum. In the dative, we have ilis, and it's the same all the way through. Ilis in the feminine, and ilis in the neuter. Alright. In the accusative plural, we have ilos. It is not the same in any of them. In the feminine plural, it's ilas, and in the neuter accusative plural, it's ila. Last one. We have ilis in the ablative, and it is the same all the way through. Ilis in the feminine, ilis in the neuter. Alright, let's go through and add a noun. Get rid of this up here. So remember that on the singular side, the ill words mean that, and on the plural side, the ill words mean those. Alright, let's add a noun. So let's add boy. I think we've already used boy in this lesson, but let's add boy. So ille puer, that boy. Now in the genitive, puer, the demonstrative pronoun changes to ilius, and puer will change to pueri. So ilius pueri, of that boy. Ili puer o, puer changes into the dative. Ili puero, to that boy. If we called that boy or we saw that boy, illum, puerum, I saw that boy, I heard that boy, I called that boy, whatever, as long as the boy is receiving the action there. In the ablative case, if we're walking with that boy, illo, puero. Illo, puero. They're both in the ablative case. So the point is, as the demonstrative pronoun changes, so does the noun. Now to say those boys, we would say ili pueri, of those boys, illorum puerorum. To those boys, ilis pueris. Those boys, as in I heard those boys, I saw those boys, I know those boys. Y los pueros. And in the ablative, with those boys, y les pueris. We are going with those boys. Okay, so there we have the demonstrative pronoun, meaning that or those, the distant demonstrative pronoun, talking about something at a noun at some distance away from us, and that's with a masculine noun. Let's look at it with a feminine noun. And we'll use puela, girl. Y la puela, that girl. Ilius puele. Notice that puele goes into the genitive case of that girl. Ili puele. This is also in the dative case. To that girl. Ilam puelam. Did I spell that right? Puelam. Sorry about that. To that girl, I see that girl, I know that girl, I hear that girl. I'm going with that girl. Ila puel. Ila puela. Those girls, now in the plural side, ile puele. Of those girls, ilarum puelarum. I've heard of those girls. Ilis puelis, to those girls. Ilis puelis. Ilas puelas. Those girls, like we see those girls, we know those girls, we hear those girls. Ilis puelis, we're going with these girls. Puelis. Alright, so there we have a demonstrative pronoun with a feminine noun. And finally, let's go through a neuter noun with a demonstrative pronoun. Let's use apple. So, illud malum, that apple. Ilius mali, of that apple. Ili malo, to that apple, if we're giving a gift to the apple or giving something to the apple or perhaps telling a story to the apple. That whole thing sounds weird, but grammatically it works. Illud malum. Remember that whatever happens in the nominative in Latin happens in the accusative. With this apple, illo malo. These apples, illa mala. Of these apples, illorum malorum. Of these apples, to these apples, illis malis. These apples, remember, what happens in the nominative happens in the accusative. Illa mala. These apples. And last of all, by, with, or from these apples, illis malis. So there you go. We've gone through a neuter noun, a feminine noun, and a masculine noun with a demonstrative pronoun. If you're pointing at something some distance away from you, it's not close to you, it's not right next to you, use the, I tell my students to call them the ill words. Use the ill words. Alright, if you want to learn more about Latin, more about its effect on our language, check out DwaneThomas.com and don't forget to subscribe. See you guys.